My source tonight is the Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, who is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee and also sits on the House Oversight Committee. So thank you for being here tonight. In addition to your titles, you also have 56,000, I think, federal workers in your home state of Ohio, 6,000 in your district alone. Do you think that
the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base?
Yeah. Do you think that they should all be getting back pay?
Well, I think people are working, certainly. I mean, that the way, people who are furloughed who aren't essential, I think that's a different question. But the way to solve this is for Chuck Schumer to open the government, for Chuck Schumer to vote for what he did 6 months ago, and then you don't have to deal with this question. But where I come from, if the truck driver's not driving a truck, he doesn't get paid. If the guy who hangs drywall is not hanging drywall, he doesn't get paid. So I think that's a different question than certainly the people who are working every day during this shutdown caused by Chuck Schumer. But the question is moot if Chuck Schumer would simply do what he did 6 months ago, do the common sense thing, vote for the level of spending that he and all the other Democrats agreed to just a few months ago.
So your stance is if you're going to work, you should get paid.
Certainly.
If you're at home, you should not get paid.
Well, I think that, no, what I'm saying is that's how most Americans see it, I believe. But it's a moot question if the Democrats will just do the right thing, if Chuck Schumer will just say, we're going to open the government. I voted for it 6 months ago. I mean, the real debate here
But actually, is it a moot point? Because they've already gone 1 week without getting paid. And if you're someone who's furloughed, which is you're told not to come to work, you're not choosing not to go to work. And, some of these, 1 in 6 Americans lives paycheck to paycheck. And that probably includes federal workers.
And Caitlin, the easiest way for this to all get, the easiest remedy is the one that Chuck Schumer voted for 6 months ago. Open up the government. Open up the government. The real debate here is between Chuck Schumer and himself. 6 months ago, he picked common sense. Today, he's picking the radical left. 6 months ago, he voted for the level of spending. He won't do it today because, frankly, as we all know, he's nervous about the left, particularly AOC in a primary in a couple of years. So that is the real debate.
But this is actually a debate for these federal workers who have nothing to do with what's happening between Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill. They're caught in the middle of this, and they didn't bring on this shutdown, so why should they have to suffer and not get their back pay?
They don't have to suffer. Chuck Schumer opens the government. If Democrats will open the government, if they will vote for
But if it opens tomorrow, they went a week without pay, right?
And President, I think they get paid. But I think the president's saying if this goes on, maybe there's this question he's going to debate it, going to look at it. The other thing you got to keep in mind is, what are they supposed to do? A $37 trillion debt, and the Democrats refuse to open the government? What are they supposed to do? So I think that's the other thing you got to look at, and I think, frankly, that's how most, again, Americans who have common sense view the whole situation.
Yeah, but the debt has been there. It's been a problem in past government shutdowns, and the president signed that bill in 2019 to restore back pay for all these federal workers and you voted yes on that, actually.
And he may, in fact, do the same thing now. All I'm saying is, the easiest way to make sure this is not a concern for any people who are working or people who are furloughed, is for the Democrats to open the government.
But actually, when the bill was signed back in 2019 during that last shutdown, it wasn't just for that shutdown, it was for future shutdowns, so federal workers wouldn't get caught in this dispute between Republicans and Democrats.
Okay, fine. That's fine. That's what was signed back then. I think the same thing could happen this time. We'll see. But we know it's not a problem if the Democrats will do the right thing, the common sense thing, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to do what the hard left is demanding our party do, fight President Trump at every single turn. This is so darn simple. You voted for it 6 months ago. What's the difference now? I like what the vice president said. They're saying we're going to shut down the government because we're concerned about a policy difference that doesn't take effect for 3 months. Well, then open up the government. We don't have to worry about this question.
So if your position is what they voted for 6 months ago, they should vote again for now, right?
Well, I think it's pretty clear on funding the government.
Okay, so you voted in 2019 that federal workers who are furloughed should get their back pay. So why is your position different now?
It's not different now. It depends on what the president decides to do, and then what we pick up as Congress.
But it's all I'm saying law, is most. Actually.
All I'm saying is most Americans say if you're working, you should get paid. If you're not, that's a different question. Now, in the past,
but that's not the law you signed. You didn't say when you voted yes on this that you voted for in 2019. You didn't say the caveat if they're working, they get paid. It said all furloughed workers get paid.
I'm just commenting on what the president said, and I think the easiest way to remedy this is what I've said now several times. Chuck Schumer, open up the government.
Yeah, but I'm talking about what you voted for. So if your position is still then it's that furloughed workers who aren't going to the office
and we may,
in
fact, vote for that again, because I think it would take a change in the law to undo what we did back in 19.
Okay, so on these subsidies that you're talking about, that's what Democrats are basically saying is their chief demand here. They expire soon. You do have people in your district who are in the Obamacare marketplace. I think it's about 36,000 of them, unless you have a different number. Do you believe that the subsidies should be extended so premiums don't go up?
I think what we got to focus on is Chuck Schumer opening the government up, and then we can deal with that question. What I do know about Obamacare is everything they told us about Obamacare a decade ago when they passed this thing turned out to be false. They told us that, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. They told us if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. They told us premiums will go down. I think the President Obama actually said premiums will go down on average $1,500. They were 0 for 4. Everything they told us turned out to be false. And then what they did back at the start of COVID, they said, we're going to expand Obamacare. Everything we told you about was false, but we're going to expand it with this enhanced tax credit, this subsidy. And then again, they renewed it and said, we're not only going to expand it, we're going to extend it. And now they want to extend it again. And Hakeem Jeffries said 1 year is not enough. We got to do it for 2 years, or we're not even going to discuss anything. So I think that's the history. And I think, again, most people in our district, most people in the 4th District of Ohio, most Americans around the country think that makes no sense. Let's figure out how we can do health care better for all Americans. Let's not keep subsidizing, expanding, and extending Obamacare when, again, when you look at what they told us, it all turned out to be false.
So you're against extending the subsidies?
Yeah, I think that's a problem. I think we should look for other ways to improve health care for Americans, for families, and do it at a cheaper cost.
What could you do in the next 3 months that would change
Let's
that?
have that debate, but right now we can't.
Senator Bernie Sanders, I think, would like to have that debate with you.
Let's have that debate. We're for health savings accounts. We're for empowering people. We're for catastrophic health plans, making it easier access to those. We're for all those things that we think empower people and patients, not insurance companies, not hospitals, we're for doing that, empowering people.
Yeah, but Republicans who have wanted to get rid of Obamacare for so long, you're one of them. You said the subsidies before you believed were illegal. They have never introduced a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare. So I think most Americans who are saying open enrollment starts November 1st don't have faith that you're going to change that in the next 6 weeks.
So the remedy, so you think the remedy is just keep extending a program that has driven up premiums?
No, I'm asking what the
didn't
change
meet
should be.
any of the statements that the proponents of it made didn't come true, and we just need to keep expanding and extending and extending and expanding.
That's not what I said. I asked what your replacement is, because
I'm for all those. I'm for health savings accounts. I'm for easier access to catastrophic plans. I'm for all kinds of things that will help families actually have more control, more decision-making in the process. And by the way, the subsidy, 40% of the people don't even use it. And the individual Americans don't know. It goes directly to the insurance company, and many of those people have never had a claim. That is a concern with how this thing works. So the Democrats' plan is, let's extend it another 2 years. Well, that makes no sense. Let's have a debate on how we can do health care better.
So that's true that it goes to the insurance companies, but that helps keep the premiums low because it pays off the balance, basically. And the concern, disagree or agree with the subsidies themselves, is that if premiums jump, people can't afford it. They don't have health care. And then the burden on people who are sick and need that coverage is higher.
I tell you what the Democrats want. The Democrats want health care for people who are non-citizens. That's driving up health care costs too.
Don't change the subject from the subsidies.
No, the subject is you're talking about health care, and all I know is Maxine Waters said we want health care for illegal immigrants.
But I'm talking about the subsidies themselves.
Every single Democrat presidential candidate back in 2020, they asked them, how many of you will support health care for people who are non-citizens, for illegal immigrants? Everyone on stage raised their hand. Kamala Harris raised her hand. Joe Biden raised his hand. Pete Buttigieg, they all raised their hand. That's what they're for. That's what they want here in this bill.
But we went through all this with House Speaker Mike Johnson last week, trust me. But my point was on the subsidies themselves.
You went through because that's their position, and we're opposed to that position. We don't think that's common sense. We don't think that's good for the country. We don't think that's the right approach. What we do think is we can have a debate on what's better for health care, but we don't think extending and expanding Obamacare and giving it to illegal migrants is going to help the citizens. How's that going to help the families I represent?
To stay on the subsidies.
Even people who are in Obamacare. How's that going to help them? To stay on the subsidies,
which I'm talking about.
No, how's that going to help them? How is that going to help them?
Your fellow Congresswoman, Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, has a very different opinion than you on this, and she said that she's carving her own lane. She's disgusted that health insurance premiums will double if the tax credits expire this year, and she says not a single Republican leader in leadership has talked to us about this or given us a plan to help Americans with their health insurance premiums doubling. Is that true that no one in Republican leadership is having conversations about what to do about this?
We are focused on getting the government back open right now, and Chuck Schumer is the impediment to doing that. Chuck Schumer is the one who's making this keep people from working, the potential that some of these furloughed people can't get back to work. He's the one doing that. He's the one who's raising this issue. Open up the government. We'll be happy to debate and discuss health care.
But what is that? November 1st is open enrollment, so what does that look like?
This policy doesn't kick it. This change in policy doesn't expire until the end
December
of the calendar
31st.
year. Until the end of the calendar year. We got time to work with it. And we're happy to do that. We're happy to do that. But to me, the answer is not extending and expanding Obamacare, which again, everything we were told about Obamacare turned out not to be true. And the Democrats' position is to, we're going to extend it and expand it. I don't think that makes sense.
If the government reopens tomorrow and these subsidies expire and they don't get extended, because you're not going to vote to extend them as you've made your policy clear right here.
It depends.
What do Americans do when their premiums
Depends on what
go
the
up?
changes happen to health care that actually empower families, not empower government, not empower insurance companies. Are we going to expand the ability to health savings accounts, people to have better control of their health care, more catastrophic plans where they're much cheaper plans? Are we going to do those kind of things that I think are good for families or not?
But Marjorie Taylor Greene says that Republican leadership is not having a conversation about what to do about that if these subsidies don't get extended.
We have conversation about health care all the time in this town. It's like one of those issues we talk about a lot, and the Democrats always want more government, which leads to higher costs and I think reduced, not the same quality of care. So we're happy to talk about what happens in the future, but let's take one step at a time. Let's open up the government.
Yeah, but I think that they have the question of what happens when these expire, and they haven't seen Republicans. I mean, this is a Republican saying Republicans don't have a plan for this.
Think about this. If this were the other way around, if Republicans said, if Mike Johnson said, I voted for a continuing, Democrats are in control, I voted for a continuing resolution 6 months ago, but I'm not going to vote for it today because I pick the policy. We want tax cuts. We want school choice. We want some other policy. Some policies in a single policy that we were fighting for that one thing. You guys would lose your mind. You would be like, oh my goodness, you voted for it 6 months ago, but you won't vote for it now because you want this policy. And by the way, no one.
That's not true. That's not fair or true. We've asked Democrats who have been on the show.
You guys would have been on Republicans. I cannot believe
we've asked Democrats who have been on the show what changed, and they said the one big beautiful bill passed, and it changed the Medicaid eligibility requirements.
The one big beautiful bill made clear,
and it changed the Obamacare subsidies.
The one big beautiful bill made clear illegal immigrants can't get health care, and they don't like that.
Illegal immigrants can't get health care, as you know, it's against federal law.
No, they all raised their hand and said they were for it, and the bill that they fought.
What happened on the debate stage is not what's in the one big beautiful bill.
Go to Mike Johnson, Speaker Johnson's website, page 57. I think it's section 2041.
It's talking about people with legal status. Trust us, I'll send you the interview.
But it's right there,
people with legal status,
for God and everybody to see.
DACA, Dreamers, refugees, asylees,
and illegal migrants. Because remember, every single Democrat candidate for president said they were for it.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
But people who are here illegally, as you know, don't have access to Medicare, Medicaid, or the Obamacare subsidies. It's federal law. It's been that way for decades. One question is about the makeup of House Republicans. You're here on Capitol Hill tonight. A lot of your colleagues are not because you're not in session. And Speaker Johnson has said he's not bringing y'all back until there's an agreement to reopen the government. Is it clear to you why Speaker Johnson has not sworn in the new member, Adelita Grijalva, yet?
Because we're not in session. It's typically done when we're all there. It's a special thing. The individual the new member gives a speech in front of Congress, sworn in by the Speaker of the House, introduced by colleagues from their delegation. That's how I've been here 19 years. It's always been done that way. So that's nothing out of the ordinary. The reason we're not here is because we've done our work. We've passed the bill that funds the government again at the levels Chuck Schumer agreed to, and now he won't support it because this debate is Chuck Schumer can pick common sense or he can pick the left and AOC. And right now he's picking the left and AOC after he picked common sense 6 months ago. Plain and simple, and I think the American people understand that.
So you're saying because it's a pro forma session, that's why?
Yeah, because there's two people on the floor or whatever. But normally it's done in front of the full House. That new member in a special election gets, I think, in some ways, a kind of a neat experience where they get to talk to the House their first day getting sworn in, and that's happened every single time that I can recall with any new member elected in a special in the middle of a congressional session.
But a couple months ago, he swore in Jimmy Petronas and Randy Fine in a pro forma session.
I actually didn't even know that when they were sworn in, but I always remember when it happens, the delegation's up front and that person is sworn in.
Do you think it has anything to do with the discharge petition and that she could be the 218th signature for the Jeffrey Epstein files?
I think it's to make the clear point, we have voted to fund the government at levels all the Democrats supported, and they now won't support it because they're bringing up an issue that frankly was not even part of the campaign last year. I don't remember anyone saying, oh my goodness, we got to deal with the enhanced premium tax credit in Obamacare, and if we don't, it wasn't even part of the campaign last year.
Well, do you think that was because it was over a year before it expired? No, I heard you say that earlier.
No, I know a lot of the issues that were central to the campaign. Security of the border was central. Making sure taxes didn't go up. The record tax increase that would have happened if we didn't extend the tax cuts. I think dealing with the school choice. I think all those were front and center in the campaign. But I don't remember anyone bringing up, and certainly not in the 4th District of Ohio, I don't remember that coming up whatsoever. But now all of a sudden, even though they voted for a level to fund the government, they won't vote for it again because this issue just came out of the blue. That's not even up. That's not even expired for 3 months. We got plenty of time to talk about that and do better things in health care. So again, I just fail to see it, but it's driven by the left and what Chuck Schumer had to deal with back in March. The left is pushing him to take this, I think, ridiculous position.
Chairman Jim Jordan, thank you for your time tonight. Thanks for joining us here on The Source.
You bet. Thank you, Caitlin.